Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so David's third paid video, and in this video I talk about his collection and what he should possibly do going forward. So just to remind you what David has, he has a 2013 Rolex GMT Master 2 116710 BLNR. That's a discontinued watch. He has it box papers. He paid over MSRP for that watch, as you do. It's probably the best thing in his collection. He also has an Explorer 39mm 214270, and he got that last month, box and papers, and he sees that as his dress watch. I'm assuming, wears it to work, and he works in Silicon Valley in California in the tech industry. And he also has, and this is not something we mentioned in the last couple videos, his first watch, a Tag Heuer Carrera, and he's keeping that for sentimental reasons, as he puts it. All right, so he writes, I would like to add 2 more Rolex sports models, white, blue dial, ? And any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. All right, let's talk about first what he has in his collection. All right, so let's start out with the weakest piece, in my opinion, and it's no surprise, that's the Tag Heuer Carrera. That's a $4,000 watch. It's soft on the secondhand market. You can probably get it for $2 or $3, and it's got a Valju 7750 chronograph movement in it, and that's not a bad movement, but it's a $300 movement, and you can find it in a lot of different models, and it's just not what I would spend $4,000 on. And the fact that he is keeping it for sentimental reasons shows me that he knows he probably shouldn't have gotten that watch, and he's sort of coming up with an excuse to keep it. In my opinion, he should sell it. He'll probably lose some money. He almost certainly will, but that's a couple thousand that you could use towards something you really like. And you're going to have to service that watch if you plan on keeping it. Now, what should he have done? He probably should have gone Speedmaster, an Omega Speedmaster, and he probably could have gotten one of those on the secondhand market for cheaper, and it would have sort of an in-house movement, and I think it's a better looking watch, to be honest, a little bit more iconic, and something that you really would be proud to keep. I would want the Carrera gone. Now, just on a side note, this is why when you first get into watches, I think you should go with sub $200 mechanical watches until you sort of figure things out and figure out what holds value and what you want to put your money in. Now, personally speaking, I went with an Orient Blue Mako, and it was about $175, and I still have it too, and I'm keeping it for sentimental reasons, I should say, because it's my first mechanical watch, but it's a big difference keeping a $200 watch and a retail $4,000 watch that's real soft on the second-hand market, and that you're going to have to sort of deal with when service time comes around. And what would I do? Would I sell the Orient Blue Mako and what would I get for $100? I mean, that's sort of a drop in the bucket in terms of horology. What am I going to do with $100? I'd much rather have the watch, but he could get a couple grand for that watch, and so I would urge him to suck it up. You will lose some money, but just get rid of it. Put that towards a future piece. I wouldn't want that in the collection. Okay, his other 2 pieces, awesome. Now, the best piece by far is the BLNR. Okay, so that's perfect as is. And before we talk about what he should get going forward, let's talk about maybe what he should have done. He's got the Explorer, and that's a great watch, and a lot of history, a lot of heritage. It's a beautiful watch, all that jazz, I believe it, right? But my gripe with that watch is it's kind of boring, all right? It's kind of a boring watch. And this is sort of ironic, I know, because I just made a video talking about, the beauty of vanilla watches and watches that are kind of boring, I think is the word I use, because the less pieces you have in the collection, the more versatile those kind of quote boring pieces are. You can wear them in more situations, and the Explorer is certainly one of those watches. But he's got the black dial covered with the GMT Master 2, and My question is, should he have wasted that purchase on another kind of simple black dialed watch. I mean, I've got a friend, Maynard Japan. You'll see him in the coming months when I take a trip to Osaka and we do some watch shopping together. He has a philosophy that he wants different dial colors. And I think that's a great philosophy. I probably could take a page out of that philosophy. I certainly don't practice what I'm preaching here, right? But if I were David, instead of getting that simple black dialed watch, I might have gone the OP route and have gotten a 39 millimeter or even a 36 millimeter OP. I would have gotten one of those kind of interesting dial colors, all right? Maybe. But even a better move, especially since he's working in tech, and there's a watch that's really made for him, made for people that are working sort of as in this field of science or computer science and working around electrical equipment. You know what I'm getting at, right? The Milgauss, the 116400. And that would have given him a simple three-hander. It would have worked perfectly as a dress watch, but it's a little bit more interesting. You can get that watch currently. It's got the green glass, black dial, the orange accents. It's kind of conservative. A little bit more out there would be the beautiful, and this is what I would go for, the beautiful blue dial, the Blue Z as they call it. That's a fantastic looking watch. You got the green glass, you got the green glass is interesting. I got to talk about that. That's a Rolex thing, and it looks sort of green when you look at it from the side, and when you look at that blue dial face on, it's a beautiful blue color. It's got the orange accents, that sort of interesting second hand, like a lightning bolt. People hate it, people love it. I think I love it. And you got the orange accents. It's certainly not as conservative as the Explorer, but that could have been that blue dial you're asking about, right? And so that's what I would have done. Plus, you're working around computers, and it's got the Faraday cage. It's got the blue parachrome spring. I mean, you talk about a watch that you're not going to have to worry about magnetization issues with. Well, that's the Milgauss. So instead of getting the Explorer, I would have gotten the Milgauss. Now, I'm not going to suggest you get a Milgauss going forward because that's 2 3-handers, but I think that would have been a wise decision to get that Milgauss instead of the Explorer. All right, you could always flip the Explorer and get the Milgauss. So, okay, so let's just assume that he doesn't want to change his existing collection. I mean, after all, he just got the Explorer last month, so I doubt he wants to flip it and try to source a Milgauss, all right, even though I think a Milgauss would be perfect for him. Let's look at his criteria and make some suggestions about what he might want to consider going forward. All right, his criteria, he likes modern watches. He likes modern Rolexes, so I'm not going to suggest any pre-ceramics or 5-digit models, no turnographs or anything like that. He likes the professional Rolex aesthetic. He doesn't talk about whether he likes them steel or whether he would be open to precious metal or two-tone watches. Perhaps he would. We'll make a suggestion if so. And he is thinking about a blue or white dialed watch. All right, so the first thing that comes to mind, and I'll go through some options and then sort of talk about whether I would give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The first that comes to mind is the 42 millimeter Explorer 2, and that's the successor to the 40 millimeter, which I'm wearing right here on an Oyster bracelet. I've been ignoring the cease and desist letters from Rolex. I wouldn't actually consider that watch because he's already got a GMT function in the BLNR, and I think the BLNR is a better proportioned watch. I think it's a better looking watch, and it's more usable and has more options with that rotating bezel. But there is a beautiful white dial to be had in the Explorer 2. But I wouldn't actually, if I were David, go that route. Now, you could always go, if you're looking to spend a lot of money and give yourself a challenge, whether it's finding one at an AD or getting the money together to pay for one on the gray market, a Sky Dweller. They make the Sky Dweller in a beautiful blue dialed version or a white dialed version. That model came out in 2012, and it's got a 24-hour function, date, month, and it's a big watch. It's got a lot of wrist presence. A lot of people love the aesthetic. A lot of people don't. I'm not much of a fan of the aesthetic, but it would allow you to have that either blue dial or white dial. And, looking at your existing collection, it's quite different, and it would be quite a different aesthetic. So it could fit nicely in your collection, but it's quite a piece to set your sights on. A little bit more manageable would be a Yachtmaster, the 116622. That's a 40 millimeter steel sports watch. They make a version with a blue dial, red accents, a red second hand, and it's got polished middle links. So it's similar to, bracelet-wise, your BL&R, but it's got the blue dial, and you got a timing bezel there that you can play with. It's sort of a take on a sub. It doesn't have the same depth rating, but that's okay. Most people are fine with 100 meters water resistance. And it's a little bit easier to find at an AD, and on the gray market, it's probably going to be a lot more manageable than something like a Daytona or a Sky Dweller, or a GMT, which you're not considering. It's not quite in the league of, say, the Daytona, the GMT, the sub, the Sky Dweller. So I think on the gray market, you'll be paying a premium, but it won't be like Sky Dweller premium or Daytona premium, which is like the off the hook premium. All right, so I would consider that, and it would give you, it's not a dive watch, but it's very dive watch-esque. Every time I talk about that watch, I have to talk about my gripe, and that's the fact that it's as water resistant as this watch or a Datejust, yet it's sort of it's a water going watch in a way. I mean, it's meant to be used on a yacht, I suppose, right? The Yachtmaster. They really should have just made it 200 meters water resistant. That just would have just sweetened the deal a little bit, I think. And it's a shame they didn't. So there you go. I think that's probably what I would consider. Now, there are, again, some options as far as conservative three-handers, an OP, a Milgauss, that I think, if you didn't already have the Explorer, would have been a good option, but I'm not going to suggest those because they are so much like your Explorer. Now, if you really want to spend some money and you want a beautiful blue-dialed watch, and you're up for solid precious metal, then the Submariner 116619, the Smurf, is an option. I mean, it's a beautiful blue-dialed watch. I mean, that dial is something. And it's not as nice as it would be if it were a aluminum bezel. It doesn't hit the light quite as nicely as an aluminum bezel version would, but the ceramic blue bezel is okay as well. And that's not a steel piece, obviously. I mean, it's solid white gold, and that's besides this, the cost, I mean, you got to ask yourself if you want a solid gold Submariner. I mean, it doesn't look like a solid gold watch. It actually, to most people, would look like a steel watch, but it is white gold, and it's going to, be very expensive for that reason. And you got to ask yourself if you're okay with a sports watch that's gold. So for me, I mean, I love steel. I love, quote, real professional watches, and I feel like these solid gold variations and two-tone variations are more homages to the real professional, their real professional counterparts, which are all steel. So I would never go that route, but that dial is worth considering, I suppose, if you love blue dials. And hey, what about a two-tone bluesy? I mean, that's, again, a two-tone bluesy would be another option and give you that blue dial and a little bit of gold as well. And that could be something you're interested in. Not me, but if you're up for some, precious metal variations, then that could be a really good option. In fact, a two-tone bluesy would be quite different. You don't have any gold in your collection. You'd get that beautiful blue dial, blue bezel, and you'd get a dive watch, and you'd have the timing bezel. So, hey, consider the bluesy. All right, so thank you, David, for the question. And if you guys have some suggestions for David, throw them in the comment section, all right? Hey, are you guys gonna let David have all the fun? I mean, he's been running the channel recently. Hey, live a little. You can make a custom video for yourself happen. Check out the description of this video. I can't have let David have all the fun. Make a custom video for yourself a reality. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.